And good afternoon. You're listening to Ken Hudnall. This is the Ken Hudnall Show. Coming to you from our studios right here in exciting El Paso, Texas. Gateway to the Old West and the most haunted city in the country. Well, today's February the 2nd, 33rd day of the year. This 232 days remaining to the year is over with, and we'll start a new one. Holidays and observances. World Play Your Ukulele Day. This happy-go-lucky instrument can turn any frown upside down. National Tater Tot Day. National Crepe Day. National Sled Dog Day. You know, high-energy furry athletes powering through snow and ice. That's a testament to teamwork, let me tell you. National Sickie Day. Sometimes life throws unexpected curveballs, and a little unscheduled break can feel like a refreshing breather. National Brown Dog Day. National Hedgehog Day. These small, spiny, and oh so cute little creatures are unlikely gardeners of the animal kingdom. Festival de la Manja. What happened? It's a celebration honoring the Afro-Brazilian goddess of the sea. On this particular day, people gather by the shore carrying offerings like flowers and perfumes and small boats. These gifts prepared are placed into the ocean as a gesture of respect and gratitude. The festival's importance extends beyond religious devotion, of course. It's a celebration of the community and cultural heritage. Participants dress in white, a color symbolizing purity and renewal, as they join in this shared ritual. When I was in South America, I saw a little bit of that. 2FA Day. Add an extra layer of security. 2FA fortifies your digital defenses, ensuring your online interactions remain safeguarded and private. National River Day. Marmot Day. These playful creatures with their bushy tails and chubby cheeks are nature's little comedians. World Wetland Day. Groundhog Job Shadow Day. California Kiwi Fruit Day. Self-Renewal Day. National Catcher's Day. Master of Anticipation, the Diamond's guardian, as it were, poised to orchestrate the ballet of pitches and catches with finesse. And Rand Day. National Heavenly Hash Day. Record of a Sneeze Day. Rheumatoid Arthritis Awareness Day. Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Groundhog Day. Candlemas Day. Day to celebrate light and hope with origins tracing back to ancient times. Feast of Candelaria. Women's Heart Week. Shape Up Pickles Time. World Interfaith Harmony Week. Publicity for Profit Week. National Green Week. Artes Mundi. Tinnitus Awareness Week. Tapati Festival. Venice Carnival. La Poutine Week. National Storytelling Week. Westminster Dog Show. Pay Your Bills Week. International Networking Week. And, you know, famous people born in this date: Shakira, Farrah Fawcett, Christy Brinkley, and, of course, the one and only Anne Rand. Well, on that note, let's see what stories we have in the news, because there's always something going on. Maybe. Okay. It looks like we're looking at another government shutdown. Chuck Schumer strikes again. House Speaker Mike Johnson gave his prediction for when this partial shutdown will end, as he fends off Democrats who are trying to kill funding for the Department of Homeland Security. He appeared on NBC News to Meet the Press yesterday and said he's hopeful that the shutdown will end at least by Tuesday. The government Friday passed a funding bill that separates DHS funding and lots of 2-week window for Congress to debate the topic specifically. Allows the rest of the government to trundle on. You know, for some reason, the Democrats feel that open the doors and invite in everybody. And any enforcement actions, well, if we don't pay for them, they're not going to happen. According to Johnson, he's confident we'll get it all done by Tuesday. Well, the logistical challenge of getting everybody in town, and because of the conversation I had with Hakeem Jeffries, I know that we've got to pass a rule and possibly do this mostly on our own. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said Democrats will not support the current version of the bill because it provides stopgap funding for the DHS through that 2-week window of debate. Democrats figure if they don't pay for it, it ain't going to happen. Well, Justin Bieber stuns the Grammys by performing in his underwear. Trevor Noah jokes about Nicki Minaj in his monologue. The Bieber, who is 31 years old, and you'd think will be beyond all this, is looped together instruments while singing his Yukon hit from his 7th studio album, Swag, and a pair of silky blue boxers covered in crystals. Trevor Noah took an aim at Nicki Minaj's new association with President Trump while opening the 68th Annual Grammy Award Sunday in Los Angeles. After welcoming Justin and Hailey Bieber, Billie Eilish, Pharrell Williams, and Tyler, the Creator, to the 2026 Grammy Awards at CryptoCon Arena, Noah assured the crowd Nicki Minaj is not here. As the audience erupted in cheers, Noah added she's still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very important issues. Former Daily Show host impersonated Trump during his 6th and final run as host and said, actually, Nicki, I have the biggest I know they say it's you, but it's me. Nicki Minaj and Trump went viral Wednesday when they were photographed holding hands at the U.S. Treasury Department's Trump Account Summit. Super bass singer also called herself Trump's #1 fan. Well, Palantir CTO Shyam Sankar said the American people are being lied to about AI. On the one hand, we're offered apocalyptic prophecies of job loss and depression, even the extinction of the human race. On the other hand, we hear utopian fantasies of a future without toil, without sickness, perhaps even without death, a life without meaning or mission. Utopians and the doomers commit the same error. They neglect the human agency. The future of AI is not in any inevitability be endured by the American people. It's for us, the American people, to shape it. AI is not a divinity. It can't snap its fingers and eliminate jobs, and people use AI to cut jobs or create them. You know, people tend to overreact. Well, Donnie's class warfare against New York businesses is economic vandalism. Last fall, New York's business community warned that the election of a self-described democratic socialist as mayor would trigger an assault on the city's economic engine. We were waved off as hysterical. The press assured us Zoran Mandami was evolving, that his rhetoric would soften, would focus instead on his vague promises of affordability. That reassurance evaporated almost instantly. Barely 2 weeks after swearing in and mid lofty rhetoric about the warmth of collectivism, the Mandami administration unveiled its real agenda. Sam Levine, a newly installed commissioner of the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection and a veteran of Lena Khan's Federal Trade Commission, released a sensational report accusing companies like DoorDash and Uber Eats of diverting more than $500 million from delivery workers. That charge was dramatic, but it was profoundly misleading as well. A lot of what Mandami's people is doing, is the most recent report, Seems to be less an exercise in economic analysis and actually a political weapon. Crafted to inflame public opinion against large visible companies operating in New York City. So we'll see if New York City actually survives all this carrying on. Okay, Middleton proves she's the sporty Spice Girl princess as her talents surprise even Prince William, according to experts. She's fully earning her sporty Spice Princess nickname, bringing the same fire to the field as she does in the kitchen. During a recent visit to the Wakefield Trinity Rugby Club, the Princess of Wales spoke about her own sporting history, noting she played loads of netball in school, but skipped rugby and football. That's according to People magazine. Mother of three revealed her daughter, Princess Charlotte, isn't officially involved in rugby, but joins in when family plays at home. We'll see what happens to the Prince and Princess of Wales. Well, President Trump has announced a 2-year closure of Trump Kennedy Center for major renovations. He said Sunday the Trump Kennedy Center is going to close later this year for a 2-year period to undergo renovations. In a post on Truth Social, he said the complex will close up July 4th, coinciding with the nation's 250th anniversary, at which point construction will begin on what he describes as a new spectacular entertainment complex. We will see how that comes to pass. Well, the mother of NBC, Savannah Guthrie, reported missing in Arizona. A lot of folks concerned. Authorities in Arizona confirmed late Sunday they are searching for the mother of NBC Today co-host Savannah Guthrie. Nancy Guthrie is 84. Last seen Sunday evening at her residence near East Skyline Drive and North Campbell Avenue, north of Tucson. Last seen about 9:30 in the evening, according to Pima County Sheriff's Department. Relative of Guthrie's contacted authorities about noon on Sunday to report her missing, according to the sheriff's office. We're pretty much just throwing everything at this we can. She's 84 and not in great physical health, so naturally there's quite a bit of concern. Sheriff told reporters later on Sunday, adding the scene at the house raised concerns for him as well. Well, a distillery owner is shocked by a loaded Al Capone-era gun being found hidden in a wall. Illinois distillery owner was astonished recently when he came across a hidden gun from the era of Al Capone, still fully loaded with historic ammo. The gun, a Colt 1908 manufactured in 1921, was found in the Thornton Distilling Company, housed in the oldest standing brewery in Illinois. The building is under the control of the Capone and Torrio families, as well as the Chicago outfit during the Prohibition era. That's according to historic accounts. It was established in 1857. Well, there may be some money hidden around there. Might ought to look for it. Well, Melania, the documentary, shocked Hollywood press with face-saving debut that overperformed expectations. Melania, the documentary detailing the 20 days of the First Lady's life before President Trump's second term in office, shocked the Hollywood press with its surprise opening weekend. Reports indicated Melania posted the best opening weekend of her documentary in over a decade, in stark contrast to its low critic score. Nobody saw that coming. A lot of folks suggested Melania was a bomb before it even opened, based on empty or nearly empty seat maps in cinemas across the country. That's according to the Hollywood Reporter. Well, the experts don't always know what they're talking about. Well, Costco's surprise Nike collaboration sends the sneaker resale market into a complete frenzy. Nike SB Dunk Low and Kirtland signature sneakers released Friday in selected states for $134.99 a pair. I can remember when I got tennis shoes at $15 a pair. That's been many, many years in the past. Well, U.S. Ambassador to NATO has warned the ball's in Iran's court as Trump confirms negotiations are taking place. U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matt Whitaker said President Trump made clear demands of Iran. So what happens next will be up to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei as an American naval fleet patrols the region. He added Trump won't wait forever for his ultimatum to be met. He said the president's been clear on Iran. You can't have a nuclear weapon. You need to stop killing protesters in your streets. That was said Saturday on the Big Weekend Show. That's a pretty clear red line, according to the ambassador. Well, the polar vortex is weakening, but it's going to extend an extreme cold spell even longer for millions in the eastern U.S. It's a combination of a bitter cold January, and this pattern can produce one of the coldest winters in years for much of the region, which all leads back to the weakened polar vortex. They're saying it's going to be a deep freeze February. Well, Elon Musk says you can skip retirement savings in the age of AI, but others saying not so fast. He recently told people not to worry about squirreling away money for retirement because advances in artificial intelligence are supposed to make savings irrelevant in the next 10 to 20 years. So if you put that in plain financial English, don't bother preparing for your future because robots and automation is going to take care of it. I have to question that. That may sound exciting on a podcast, but may even sound comforting to those who don't have a 401k plan. But for everyday Americans trying to plan their financial lives, it's reckless advice. You do need to prepare. No question about that. Well, a Massachusetts man using a blowtorch on his roof to melt the ice sets his house on fire. There had been so much ice buildup during a brutal winter stretch of Arctic misery that he felt he had to deal with it. So he used a blowtorch, and the fire broke out at a home in Milton, Massachusetts after the man used the blowtorch to melt ice on his roof. That's according to Milton County Fire Chief John Erner. Flames quickly spread into the attic, turning what appeared to be a small flare-up into a major fire. Witnesses said the fire escalated rapidly. He gets down, and then we see flames just in the gutter, according to one neighbor. All of a sudden, smoke's coming from everywhere. It just seemed like the whole roof was on fire. Firefighters initially believed the blaze to be minor, and they pulled the gutter off that side of the house, thinking it was going to be a light fire, and the whole attic was fully involved. So that's the lesson for you folks. Do not use blowtorches on your roof. Well, Florida helped save more than 2,000 cold-stunned iguanas during this most recent freeze. There's been about 100,000 outages across the southeast. Yeah. The House panel moves to consider criminal referrals for the Clintons, which is sad because he's my third cousin. House of Representatives expected to vote this week on whether to refer former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to the Department of Justice for criminal charges. The House Rules Committee, that final gatekeeper before most legislation gets a chamber-wide vote, is slated to consider a pair of contempt for Congress resolutions targeting the Clintons at 4 p.m. Today. These resolutions are expected to pass through the committee along party lines, teeing them up for the final passage as early as Tuesday or Wednesday. Both of the Clintons were subpoenaed to appear before the House Oversight Committee to testify for the Congress's probe into Jeffrey Epstein. And they both said basically, screw off, and now they're going to face the penalty. Well, if you have a problem of you can't stop thinking about food, experts say there's an unexpected cause of this. Amid conflicting guidance, GLP-1 weight loss trends, and recent updates to dietary guidelines, navigating nutrition advice can feel overwhelming. As weight loss conversations increasingly focus on medication, some Americans may be looking for more natural ways to quiet what's often called food noise. And there's some tips to help tune it out. Well, food noise can be described as frequent thoughts about food, sometimes being mistaken as hunger. Northwell Health, the Well, described it as a steady background group of food-related thoughts that can interfere with daily life and decision-making about eating. And that can lead somebody to eat excessive calories, cause weight gain, obesity, and other medical problems like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and sleep apnea. Well, Rand Paul says without question, trust has been broken after the Minnesota shootings. Paul's the Republican from Kentucky, admitted that trust for the Trump administration has been broken without question as its response to the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy by Border Patrol agents in Minnesota. He was interviewed on CBS's 60 Minutes, said he was concerned about administration officials such as Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino, accusing Preddy of committing domestic terrorism or seeking to cause maximum damage after a video of the shooting circulated online. It sounds like terrible judgment, he remarked. I mean, terrible conclusions, incorrect conclusions, stating things that nobody else believes. You can lie to your heart's content if there's no video, but the video doesn't support what they're saying. Well, we need to have common sense poured back into these protesters. If the people that we're trying to deport are breaking the law, they don't need to be here. Unfortunately, people like Preddy and the lady who was killed seem to feel that the rights of the undocumented immigrant surpass those of American citizens, which is the same thing our Congresswoman here believes. Well, Snoop Dogg's family suffered an unimaginable tragedy. He rallied around his daughter following the death of her 10-month-old baby. On Saturday, the rapper's 26-year-old daughter, Corey, announced the passing of her 10-month-old daughter, Cody. According to the daughter, on Monday, she lost the love of her life, her Cody. And shortly after the announcement, the 54-year-old rapper took to Instagram to share his support. Snoop's been around forever. It's hard to imagine he's just 54. Well, Catherine O'Hara revealed the rare medical condition before her death. She played the mother in Home Alone, and she's now died. Well, ICE has nabbed over 650 illegals in a sweeping operation with cooperation from local police. This is in West Virginia, with state and local police getting involved. Okay. Georgia man shot police after inviting him into a hotel room. Killed one, wounded another. Georgia, if you've read my book, Why Would They Say It, has got a peculiar way of looking at the law. The good old boy system works overtime in that state. Well, Carolyn Leavitt accuses Senator Tillis of holding the U.S. economy hostage over the Fed nomination dispute. White House Press Secretary Leavitt accused Senator Tom Tillis, Republican of North Carolina, of holding America hostage for vowing to oppose President Trump's pick to chair the Federal Reserve till the administration ends its probe of current Fed Chair Jerome Powell. She said, I certainly don't think a United States sitting senator should be holding the entire country and our economy hostage over the fact he's got some political disagreements with an investigation. But unfortunately, that's exactly what's happening. Well, on that note, we've ended our news segment. We're going to be talking about our topic for today. I've dug up some more bizarre conspiracies. There's been a lot of questions, and when I used to speak at Roswell before I became politically unacceptable to the powers that be that run the place, I used to be asked, despite decades of speculation, has any government document ever confirmed the presence of extraterrestrials at Area 51? But frankly, that's only half the story. What's far more intriguing is what's been denied, silenced, and avoided. Now, there's been a number of whistleblowers, from Bob Lazar to former military personnel, claim they've either worked on alien technology or saw biological entities not of Earth, or were involved in reverse engineering non-human crafts and underground hangars beneath the Nevada base. And these claims are consistent across different timelines, never been fully debunked, only discredited without any evidence, which raises more eyebrows than it actually settles. U.S. government's sudden rebranding of UFOs into unidentified aerial phenomena and the Pentagon's public videos of crafts performing impossible maneuvers further suggests that something is being encountered that can't be explained by current science. Well, what happened? Everything, my system just shut itself down. Area 51, quite frankly, is no longer just a secret airbase. It's a psychological wall. And if you read my book, Shadow Stations, you'll see it's not just Area 51 that's involved in this conspiracy, if you want to call it that. Behind its fences and hangars and armed guards is the possibility our world's already encountered something far greater than itself. And these encounters are kept hidden for a variety of reasons: control, fear, power. Every denial fuels further speculation. Every leaked detail only confirms that something bigger is being concealed. But with every passing year, with more voices speaking out, more documents surfacing, the truth goes harder to contain. What we know now is a mixture of fact and mystery. Yes, there are experimental aircraft being tested, and yes, the government did lie, and it's admitted it lied. And yes, witnesses describe materials they couldn't explain, but what we still don't know may change everything we believe about our place in the universe. And that's the final tension. The unbearable silence between the facts we've been given and the ones still locked away. If humanity's indeed made contact with something not of this earth, and Area 51 holds that knowledge, then we're all living in a carefully constructed illusion, a world where the biggest truth is hidden in plain sight under armed watch behind miles of desert and decades of denial. But secrets don't stay buried forever. One day the doors are going to open by force, by confession, or by the sheer weight of time. Until that point in time, Area 51 remains the most watched, most speculated, most protected lie wrapped in truth. And while we walk away from this journey with more understanding than ever before, we also have to accept that the most important answers are still in the dark. Maybe not forever, but for now they remain hidden. Going back to my original question, is Area 51 the home of living aliens? And nobody outside the classified circle can confirm that with absolute certainty. But if any facility in the world is hiding alien corpses and spacecraft and advanced extraterrestrial data, it would be Area 51, or its even more secretive sister site, S4, which insiders claim lies just miles away underground. Now, there's no official proof, but an overwhelming amount of circumstantial, testimonial, and scientific evidence suggests that Area 51 is more than just a test site. Maybe the epicenter of the world's greatest secret. Now, there's, of course, numerous stories. If you've never been to Area 51, and I took a busload of people there one weekend, you're in the hot, unforgiving expanse of Nevada's desert. And in that setting, there's a vast, desolate stretch of land that many believe play host to some of the most important and yet secretive developments of the 20th century. This entire area is shrouded in secrecy and classified under the tightest security imaginable. When we took our bus trip there, a little community right on the edge of the base called Rachel, Nevada, permanent population, I think about 12, played host to not only the people that I took, but a lot of other people who came just to see what was there. The main business in town's a restaurant called the Little Alien. And then there's a bunch of trailers scattered across the desert that's laughingly referred to as the Rachel Hilton. And we heard a lot of strange sounds and saw a lot of strange things flying over the base. It was in the summer of 1947, 2 years after the end of World War II, when a series of extraordinary events began to unfold in Roswell, New Mexico. What seemed like an ordinary evening spiraled into the beginnings of a massive cover-up that would reverberate throughout history. July 2nd, 1947. That date's going to be forever etched in history. A mysterious craft, identified later as a flying saucer, crashed on the Foster Ranch near Roswell. What followed was a chaotic sequence of events. Initially, the military confirmed a flying disc had been recovered. There was even a press release done by Walter Haut. Within 24 hours, the official statement was revised that flying disc was just a weather balloon. And the folks at Roswell couldn't tell the difference between a weather balloon and a flying disc. Now, there were cracks in that story, of course, cracks that would later reveal themselves as part of a much bigger high-stakes government cover-up. Witnesses, including local ranchers and military personnel, began to speak out, claiming they had not seen just the remains of a crashed object, but alien bodies as well. And those bodies had been recovered from the crash site. The government quickly silenced any dissenting voices, but it was too late. They sent in a counterintelligence corps who threatened people into silence. The uncle of a friend of my wife's, as a young boy, was a gopher for Mac Brazil, the man that reported the debris field. And he was threatened so seriously and so hard that he left for Mexico and won't even come back for a visit. Well, over the coming years, the Roswell incident became a cornerstone of UFO lore. Eyewitness accounts, conflicting military reports, odd behaviors by local authorities fueled the fire. U.S. military seemed hell-bent on ensuring that the truth would never emerge. With every failed cover-up, with every leaked report and whistleblower testimony, public curiosity about extraterrestrial life and alien technology just grew. This was another period when UFO sightings began to increase across the country, particularly around Nevada. A lot of pilots, military personnel, and civilians reported seeing strange objects in the sky, objects that seemed to defy the laws of physics as we know them. Witnesses described craft that could stop mid-flight, change direction on a dime, or travel at speeds far beyond anything known to human technology. So you have to ask yourself, what could be responsible for these extraordinary sightings? Were these the inventions of a foreign adversary, or was it something far more mysterious at play? Clearly, the alien technology was the heart of the debate. Well, the tensions between the U.S. and the Soviet Union began to escalate. As the Cold War got running, so did the military's need to highly secure testing sites where cutting-edge technology could be developed without the risk of espionage. In 1955, the government chose Groom Lake, a dry, barren lake bed situated deep in the Nevada desert, where it was going to build one of its most secretive and strategic facilities, area we now know as Area 51. At the time, the base wasn't open to the public, and the purpose was not disclosed to anybody outside the military. But, of course, whispers began to surface. People asked why the base was so highly restricted. What was being developed there? Rumors spread the U.S. government was not only testing aircraft, but also reverse engineering alien technology has been retrieved from Roswell and a number of other crash sites. And yes, Roswell was just one crash site. If you read my book, Beyond Roswell, which is available from Amazon Kindle, you'll see that there's been quite a number of crashes. And I'm working on Volume 2 of Beyond Roswell. The design of the base itself was part of the mystery. Carefully constructed to blend into the desert landscape, ensuring it remained hidden from satellites and planes and prying eyes. Skies surrounding the base were monitored, and military aircraft flew over cover missions to ensure no unauthorized personnel came too close. Bob Lazar You may have heard that name. A lot of folks have. He's the whistleblower who changed everything, practically speaking. As the years passed, Area 51 continued its silent operations. But in 1989, Lazar's name surfaced and would forever change the public's perception of the base. He was a self-described scientist who claimed to have worked at a facility near Area 51 that came forward with extraordinary allegations. He stated he'd been hired to work on alien technology at a site called S4, located right near Area 51. According to Lazar, his job was to reverse engineer alien spacecraft that were stored in an underground hangar. He described seeing flying saucers with anti-gravity propulsion systems and claimed to have been part of a team studying materials not of earthly origin. His revelations were shocking, and while some dismissed him as a fraud or a disgruntled employee, others began to question his official narrative surrounding the Area 51. His testimony, along with other whistleblower accounts, opened the door to a deeper exploration of the secretive base. His story became a rallying cry for those who believed that the government was hiding evidence of extraterrestrial life. Now, the more the public learned about Area 51, the more it became clearer that the base was central to the UFO phenomena. Classified aircraft like the U-2 spy plane and the SR-71 Blackbird were tested there, pushing the boundaries of aerospace technology. But it was the rumors of alien technology that made the base notorious. I've got another book called Shadow Stations that's come out discussing not only Area 51, but a number of other secretive bases. Area 51 became synonymous with everything the public feared, hoped, and imagined about extraterrestrial life. The mystery surrounding the base, coupled with the strange sightings, declassified documents, and whistleblower testimonies, created an enigma that continues to captivate millions even today. For decades, the public's fascination with Area 51 grew, fueled by rumors of alien technology, government cover-ups, and mysterious sightings. The military denied any connection with UFOs and the base, but a lot of folks weren't convinced. In the years since Lazar's revelations, Area 51 has continued to captivate the public's imagination. People from around the world have speculated about the things hidden inside its walls. Was the U.S. government experimenting with alien technology? And if that's the case, what became of it? Were we truly in contact with extraterrestrials? And if the government knew the truth, why have they kept it hidden for so long? Well, the declassification of certain documents in recent years has only added fuel to the fire, so to speak. Former military pilots, engineers, and technicians come forward to confirm some of the stories. But still, the truth remains skeptical and elusive. So the question becomes, what does Area 51 really hide? What's the impact of Area 51 on our understanding of the unknown? Well, today, Area 51 stands as the epicenter of UFO and alien conspiracy theories. That secrecy, the unsubstantiated rumors and stories from those who've worked there have created a legend that continues to grow. For millions of people, the base represents the intersection of government secrecy, technological advancement, and the possibility of life beyond the Earth. And as we move forward, we'll delve further into the theories, testimonies, and leaked documents that have emerged from Area 51. From Bob Lazar's claims to the newest revelations about government UFO research, the truth about Area 51 may be closer than ever before. This all began one stormy night in Roswell. July 2nd, 1947. Thunder cracked across the sky as a summer storm rolled over Chavez County region of New Mexico. The desert air was heavy, and lightning bolts lit up the sky like strobe lights from another world. The Foster Ranch was about 75 miles north of Roswell. A quiet man named William Mac Brazil, the ranch foreman, settled into a small house after another day of tending stock. He didn't know the next day he was going to find something so strange, so unexplainable, that would set the greatest UFO conspiracy theory in American history running rampant. On the morning of July 3rd, he went out to inspect his ranch after the storm, rode out on horseback, and saw something that he found hard to believe: a vast field of metallic debris scattered across several hundred yards. And this wreckage was like nothing he'd ever seen before. Thin metallic strips that wouldn't burn or bend, strange foil-like materials that would turn its original shape when crumpled, and I-beam fragments with hieroglyphic-like markings on them, writings he couldn't read, almost alien in form. In a later interview with a Roswell newspaper, he said it was like tinfoil, only it wouldn't tear, bend, or burn. And some of those sticks had symbols like Egyptian hieroglyphics, but I couldn't recognize any of them. Well, he collected some of the debris and rode into town, contacted local Sheriff George Wilcox, and together they sent word to Roswell Army Airfield. On July 7th, Major Jesse Marcel, an intelligence officer from Roswell Army Airfield, was dispatched to investigate the wreckage. Marcel and a counterintelligence officer named Sheridan Cavett visited the site with Brazil. When they got there, Marcel couldn't believe what he saw. In an interview he did decades later, he said it wasn't like anything he'd ever seen in his entire career in intelligence or aviation. There was no question in his mind this material was not from the Earth. Well, Marcel collected pieces of the wreckage and brought them back to the base. In fact, he filled the back end of a government sedan. That night, curious and overwhelmed, he stopped by his house and showed some of the debris to his wife and son. According to Dr. Jesse Marcel Jr., his son, in a 1991 interview, a man I got to know, he said, "I held it. It felt light, unbreakable, and the symbols, I've never seen anything like them before in my life." Well, on July 8, 1947, the public information officer at Roswell Army Airfield, Lieutenant Walter Haut, released a shocking press release. The many rumors regarding the flying disc became a reality yesterday when the intelligence office at the 509th Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force and Roswell Army Airfield was fortunate enough to gain possession of a disc through the cooperation of one of the local ranchers. That story was in the headline in the Roswell Daily Record. The Roswell Army Airfield captured the flying disc on the ranch in the Roswell region. That was the first official U.S. government acknowledgement that a flying disc had actually been recovered. But as quickly as the news broke, it was shut down. That same day, the story changed. The military retracted the initial statement and replaced it with a new story. All that wreckage came from a weather balloon, not a flying disc. Major Marcel was told to pose with pieces of a weather balloon for a staged press photo. The real debris had already been flown to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio under top secrecy. Marcel said years later, "I was ordered to keep quiet, but I knew him, and I know now that it wasn't a balloon." The government insisted the matter was closed, but the locals didn't buy it. Sudden retraction, military intimidation of witnesses, and the eerie silence afterward only made the story get bigger. In the days after the crash, unconfirmed reports began to circulate that alien bodies had been recovered at the crash site. Glenn Dennis, a young mortician at the time, later recounted a chilling conversation with a nurse from the Roswell Army Hospital. She described small, gray-skinned bodies with large heads and black almond-shaped eyes. Non-human entities, she called them, laying on gurneys inside a guarded facility. And the nurse, disturbed by what she saw, drew sketches and passed them on to Glenn Dennis. Soon after that, she vanished. Reportedly, she was reassigned, but nobody ever heard from her again. Well, Roswell's town people, including Mac Brazil, were warned to stay quiet. Brazil disappeared for several days after talking to the military and came back visibly shaken. He gave a revised statement to the press claiming the material was just rubber strips and tinfoil. But the locals who had spoken to him earlier knew that wasn't what he'd originally said. According to a neighbor of Mac Brazil's, he told me before the Army got to him that it wasn't from this world, and after they talked to him, he wouldn't say another word about it. Well, decades later, the government would release a report claiming the crash was part of Project Mogul, a top-secret operation using high-altitude balloons to detect Soviet nuclear tests. But even that explanation left a lot of questions unanswered. I mean, what about those materials that couldn't burn, bend, or break? And why all the secrets and intimidation? And how about all those stories about non-human bodies? Well, frankly, the pieces just did not fit together. Roswell in 1947 wasn't just a crash site. It was the birthplace of modern UFO conspiracy theory. The incident set off a chain of events that would lead to decades of public mistrust in the government. Formation of Area 51 became a central hub for UFO activity. A cultural obsession with the possibility of extraterrestrial life was given birth at Roswell. Well, the truth was buried, but the story didn't die. It evolved, it multiplied, and turned into one of the most investigated and speculated mysteries in the modern world. Well, summer of 47 was marked by an event that had gone to fuel one of the most enduring and debated mysteries in modern history, and of course, that's the Roswell incident. This story of a flying disc later morphed into a complex tapestry of conspiracy theories and government cover-ups and analyzing speculation about extraterrestrial life. We're going to talk more about the details of the Roswell crash, not just as an isolated incident, but as a pivotal moment in the history of UFO research. By examining key events, witness accounts, and the swirling theories that arose from the wreckage, maybe we can piece together the enigmatic truth of what happened in that desert of New Mexico in 1947. Now, the crash took place on the evening of June 2nd. According to military reports, a weather balloon came down, but local witnesses and first responders saw something entirely different. What they found was wreckage scattered across a large area. Pieces of a shiny metallic substance didn't resemble anything they'd ever seen before. And of course, the initial witness was Mac Brazel. He was bewildered by the sight and immediately notified the local authorities, as ranchers tend to do. First, the military had little to say about the incident, only confirming that something had crashed. And then, of course, on July 8th, Roswell Army Airfield issued that famous press release. But on the 9th, the narrative changed. The military quickly retracted the statements, replaced it with a new explanation. Military's sudden shift to a story only fueled suspicions of a cover-up. And it wasn't long before rumors spread that the wreckage might actually be an extraterrestrial origin. But the question now becomes, what was the truth? Was it simply a weather balloon, or was there something more to the story? Well, as the story began to unfold, several key witnesses came forward with their accounts, each adding to the complexity of the narrative. Well, of course, one of the first and most significant accounts came from Major Jesse Marcel. He was one of the first to examine the wreckage, and his testimony going to become a cornerstone of Roswell incident. His initial involvement in the case was as an intelligence officer, tasked with investigating and reporting on the crash site. Later years, he described the debris found as nothing like any conventional aircraft wreckage. The materials, he said, were light, almost weightless, and incredibly tough, unlike anything he'd ever encountered before. He said it was very strange. It wasn't like anything he'd ever seen. And being in intelligence, he had seen a lot. It wasn't a weather balloon, that's for sure. Some kind of metallic material with unusual symbols on it. He described the wreckage, and his description clashed with official weather balloon explanation. He even spoke of strange metallic pieces that would bend and return to their original shape, pieces that couldn't be cut, burned, or damaged by conventional methods. That led a lot of folks to speculate the debris might be of alien origin, a theory that only gained traction. Marcel suggested materials couldn't be from any known human-made aircraft or balloon. Another key witness was Glenn Dennis, a mortician at the time. He later claimed he had been involved in transporting bodies from the crash site. According to Dennis, he was contacted by the military, requested he prepare a small casket for the remains of what he described as alien bodies. In a 1989 interview, he stated he had seen what he believed to be extraterrestrial corpses at the base. He said the bodies were small, with large heads, large eyes, and gray skin. His account became one of the most controversial and contested aspects of the Roswell incident. First public mention of the possibility alien bodies had been recovered. Well, the military's reaction to the crash has long been a subject of scrutiny. While the initial press release about a flying disc suggested the military had no idea what had occurred, subsequent retraction, the official narrative of a weather balloon raised more questions than answers. I mean, frankly, why such a drastic change in the story? Was there a deliberate effort to downplay the incident? A lot of researchers and conspiracy theorists believe the U.S. government knew exactly what happened and was determined to keep it a secret. Some claim the military's cover-up operation extended far beyond simple misinformation. Witnesses such as Major Jesse Marcel and others involved in the cleanup are reportedly told to keep quiet about the details of the incident. Some are allegedly threatened with dire consequences if they actually talked. Secrecy surrounding the event was compounded by the reports of heightened military activity in the area after the crash, with soldiers allegedly dispatched to secure the crash site and remove the debris from public view. Well, the role of Project Mogul, secret military operation involving high-altitude balloons designed to detect Soviet nuclear tests, has often been cited as official explanation for the Roswell incident. And according to this theory, the wreckage found near Roswell was indeed from a top-secret weather balloon, but the military's quick retraction of the flying disc story was part of an effort to avoid revealing the true purpose of Project Mogul. Skeptics argued that the balloon's explanation was simply a cover for something far more mysterious, and the alien hypothesis gained momentum as a result of the contradictions in the government statement. As the years passed, the Roswell incident continued to be the subject of intense speculation. While the official government stance remained the crash involved a weather balloon, a number of alternate theories emerged, each suggesting a different version of the event. One of the most persistent theories is that the Roswell crash was a result of an extraterrestrial spacecraft and that the government's cover-up was motivated by a desire to protect the knowledge of alien life and technology. Proponents of this theory point to the eyewitness testimonies of individuals like Jesse Marcel and Glenn Dennis, whose accounts consistently mention strange materials and alien bodies. Some even argued the government's cover-up extended to a retrieval operation of alien technology which could have been reverse engineered for military purposes. In contrast, proponents of the Project Mogul theory argue that the military's activities surrounding the Roswell crash were purely related to secret surveillance operations. According to this theory, the balloon debris was part of a covert effort to monitor Soviet nuclear tests, and the government's retraction of the flying disc story is meant to protect classified information about Project Mogul. Over the years, the Roswell incident became entwined with the broader UFO phenomena, which has gained significant attention in post-World War II era. UFO sightings were on the rise, and reports of strange objects in the sky were increasingly being taken seriously. Some theorists suggested the Roswell crash was simply one of many similar incidents, and it was represented the first instance of an extraterrestrial encounter that the government chose to cover up. The legacy of the Roswell incident can't be understated. It remains a defining moment in UFO history, inspiring countless books and documentaries and films and conspiracy theories. Roswell has become a symbol of government secrecy and the enduring desire to uncover the truth about extraterrestrial life. In the decades after the crash, the town of Roswell embraced its role as the epicenter of UFO lore, with annual festivals and museums dedicated to preserving the memory of the event. But the incident's impact extends far beyond Roswell itself. It set the stage for a broader cultural fascination with UFOs, shaping the public's understanding of alien life and the government cover-up. The crash in 1947 continues to captivate imaginations worldwide. People search for answers and wonder what really happened that night in the New Mexico desert. As we look back on the Roswell incident, it becomes clear that the search for the truth is far from over. The question of what really happened in the summer of 47 remains an open one. Was it a weather balloon, a secret military experiment, or something far more extraordinary? The debate rages on, and the mystery continues to evolve. And the Roswell incident isn't really just about the events of 47. It's a reflection of the ongoing human desire to understand the unknown. In a world where the boundaries of space and time continue to expand, the possibility of extraterrestrial life remains a tantalizing unanswered question. The Roswell incident, with its mix of government secrecy and witness testimonies and unsolved mysteries, will undoubtedly remain a key part of the broader UFO phenomena for years to come. Well, the military's response to the Roswell crash remains one of the most contentious and debated aspects of the entire incident. What began as a straightforward report of the recovery of a flying disc soon evolved into a confusing series of cover-ups and contradictory statements and hidden agendas. The official stories that evolved over the years created a maze of mystery and intrigue, only fueled the ongoing belief that something more extraordinary happened in the desert near Roswell, New Mexico, than just the crash of a weather balloon. We're going to talk about not only in the little time we got remaining today, but in a number of other shows, about the military's role in shaping the narrative of Roswell, beginning with Project Mogul theory and leading to a broader discussion on the military's handling of the incident. In the first official response, the military came quickly after the reports of a flying disc being recovered near Roswell. Roswell Army Airfield's initial press release of July 847 say the many rumors regarding the flying disc became a reality yesterday when the intelligence officer of the 509th Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force, Roswell Army Airfield, was fortunate enough to gain possession of a disc. Now, this announcement, of course, was shocking and sensational. A flying saucer had actually been found and was being displayed for the world to see. But the next day, this narrative had been retracted and a new, much more mundane explanation was provided. Colonel William Blanchard, the commanding officer of the 509th, ordered the release of a second statement which described the recovered object as nothing more than a weather balloon that had crashed with no mention of a flying saucer or extraterrestrial involvement. This abrupt change in the story caused immediate confusion and fueled skepticism. Why was the military issuing conflicting reports within such a short time frame? Well, this discrepancy laid the groundwork for the various theories and suspicions that would arise in the coming decades. Well, on that note, we come to the end of today's show. We'll be back and talk more about Project Mogul in tomorrow's show. Until then, this is Ken Hudnall for the Ken Hudnall Show saying have a truly great evening.